Hey everybody, this is Perch, and we've seen the end of Ten of Swords. We've also seen the end of Dawn of X. So a little more than a year ago, we had House of X, Powers of Ten, and then that gave way to Dawn of X, which was kind of this banner, this imprint, this theme across the titles. And it really didn't mean anything. It's not like there was a villain called Dawn or anything like that. It was just, the idea was, here are some new X-Men books, and they are going to be coming out, and they're going to set the tone for what the X-Men universe was going to be. And it was the beginning, for lack of a better word, the beginning. Marvel has had some success over the years with Dark Reign and with other kind of imprints like that. And so it's not a surprise they're doing it here. And I think it's a good idea. It's for collectors, for everybody to be able to say, this is where this book more or less fits in down the road. It's helpful. So you can do shorthand. This is a Dawn of X book. So with Dawn of X ending, what happens immediately following Ten of Swords, i.e. next week, we get to Reign of X. Now, not rain like it's pouring rain or it's November rain. This is rain like R-E-I-G-N. And it is intended to be kind of the next phase of these X books. And if you're reading a little bit between the lines, it should be somewhat of the story of the X-Men are a little bit more comfortable now in their status on Earth and kind of what they're doing. The initial pieces of Krakoa have been settled, but also in one of the consequences, and it's one of those that I think is going to have some pretty major impacts for the X-Men universe, is that we've seen the Quiet Council, or the leadership of Krakoa, change fairly dramatically, and let some of the more core traditional X-Men characters, namely Cyclops and Jean Grey, and then also Apocalypse, who had been serving as a force of good to some extent on that Quiet Council, are all off the Quiet Council now, and it feels like Shaw and Mystique and Exodus and some of the more sinister characters, Mr. Sinister, are somewhat running more of the show. Professor X and Magneto are there, but it feels like they're being manipulated out, more or less. Magneto is going to be a part of S.W.O.R.D. Professor X just doesn't seem like himself, and hasn't really since the very beginning. But now he is basically... They're still on the Quiet Council, but it feels like the Quiet Council is steering toward a more sinister, no pun intended, direction, and maybe a more proactive direction. We've seen a number of things. Now, it's hard to tell a little bit how much of the X-Men that are not in these core titles really mean, because writers have been writing them randomly. But you did see a sequence in Fantastic Four by Dan Slott where Professor X was pretty much a dick to Franklin, who had recently lost his mutant powers, and kind of saying, you're not a mutant at all, get lost, we don't want you, the gates are closed. Basically continuing to kind of push this isolationist theme. It feels to me, and this is total prediction on my part, but it feels like we are absolutely heading for some major, the Avengers, Fantastic Four, kind of the non-X-Men characters versus the X-Men in a year's time or more. I would not be surprised at all if this time next year, we were doing AVX2, or we were doing some more major kind of to conclude the reign. The other characters in the Marvel Universe decide they've got to step up and really take care of it. Definitely, you're going to see some impacts. One of the other things that happened in Ten of Swords was that we had the Isle of Araco has fused, or been reunited with Krakoa, and it bringing with it potentially millions of additional mutants. So the whole roster has grown significantly now on Krakoa, and undoubtedly that's going to be seen as threatening by some of the other nations. And so we'll see what all that takes place. Eventually we're going to get to Fall of X, or Twilight of X, or something like that in a year or 2 years, or however long they decide to keep this thing going. At this point, Marvel is believing this is where they print the money. And so I don't see them rushing to the end anytime soon, but I think it is a very careful balancing act. They've got way too many titles out there, just from my view, but also from the sales view. If you just look at some of the numbers, you see a definite softening of a lot of these titles, and that hopefully is on somebody's mind, but who knows? Along with this announcement of Reign of X, we see that Si Spurrier, who has worked on X-Men titles before, in particular X-Men Legacy, where he did some work with Legion, is joining the X universe somehow. It's not known what he's going to be doing, but He's going to be part of this X office along with Al Ewing, who is joining it for Sword. And so it is. I don't know. It's the X group itself is getting bloated fast. So it'll be very interesting to see how the next year will go. If you're looking at this image, like a little teaser that comes out of it, we see a couple pieces that we can immediately draw in. We see the Emma Frost, the White Queen, is doing something with the Hellfire Club, maybe additional invitations, something. Of course, we're assuming that's Emma. It's most likely Emma, but given that they drew Saturnine just like Emma at times, who knows? But I'm pretty sure that is Emma. We see Doug and Bay, his new wife, I guess learning to live as a couple. We're seeing Cyclops and Jean Grey, along with some shadowy kind of figures in the background that I believe are the Children of the Atom characters that Vita Ayala is doing. I think that's what's back there. It's a little hard to tell, but maybe this is an indication of a further split between the Quiet Council and Cyclops and Jean as they lead a new force of X-Men. We did see in the last issue of X-Men, kind of one of the last issues of Ten of Swords, that they were retiring the X-Men name, at least storyline-wise, so maybe that's also what's going on. We see a little hint of Jim Jaspers and hints that we're going to see more from the Crooked Market, and that will continue to be a force to be reckoned with to some extent. We see Wolverine as Patch and Maverick. We already know that we're going to be dipping a little bit more into Wolverine's past. I guess there's some nostalgia for the Patch, I guess. I didn't know. I don't think there's as much nostalgia as people think. We see a hint of the Sword space station. Of course, we already know that series is happening. A very prominent Storm, and we know that she is going to have a pretty big impact here in 2021, is what we've been told. But we also see Arcade, we see Nimrod, we see the Shadow King, we see some of the kind of the faceless Sentinel characters that were appearing in House of X Powers of 10. We see the Legion in there, so we haven't really dealt with Legion and where he comes from. We also have at least some hint of Penance, or M. It's Penance, not M, but with somebody who looks a little bit like Angel, but maybe not. It's kind of hard to tell a little bit there. And then finally, the storyline that I've been pretty anxious to get to is X-23 Darwin, the characters that entered the vault, is finally going to reappear in January, and I've been very that's the storyline I've been most interested in, and so I'm curious to see that all coming back. But at any rate, this is the new phase of the X-Men books. It is Reign of X. After Dawn comes the Reign of X, and presumably this goes for another year. So Marvel gets a chance to do some more press releases out there and get some more excitement, and people are I like C.B. Cebulski's comment. It's like, eagle-eyed readers should take a close look at this montage of mutants. Like, everything on this image was included for a reason, and we'll have heart-pounding payoffs in the near future for our favorite Krakoans. After the dawn comes the rain, and what a rain it will be. I mean, when you're doing a teaser image with a bunch of random images on there, I mean, like, sorry, but no shit, this is what you're going to be doing. I mean, what else would you be doing? It just cracks me up a little bit, hey, in case you didn't think of it yourself, you should pay close attention to this. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks. We got it. We got that whole point. I guess Nightcrawler's in there reading some kind of book that may be the Fornication Bible that they've been establishing on Krakoa, or it could be Apocalypse's little magic book. Hard to tell. At any rate, this is where we're at. With Apocalypse seemingly off the table as a result of Ten of Swords, will they resurrect Gorgon? Where will some of those things go? It does look like we're going to dip into maybe some more traditional X-Men villains, which has been one of the complaints that we've had for a while, and maybe also start to seed things a little bit more for some of the payoff that we were promised, or at least introduced in House of X Powers of 10, that we really kind of wandered away from. I mean, I guess it's encouraging you don't have the old Gardner ladies in here, so maybe we're not going to get back to them anytime soon. I don't know. Horticulture? Yeah, why not? Anyway, what do you think? Does this get you excited? Do you see this and go, okay, if I maybe was frustrated by a little bit of the way things went, some of the characters, some of the faces here are exciting to me. I'm anxious to kind of see where it goes. What storyline are you hoping that they'll actually start to take, or is it just is the Marvel marketing machine not working for you? What do you think? What's your prediction? Where it'll go? Which titles are you going to be following or none? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Most importantly, and as always, thanks for listening.